What up, friends? It's about that time, and today we're going to be reviewing Tears for Fears' newest album, The Tipping Point. This is the 7th studio album by the English new wave and pop rock band Tears for Fears. Now, I have been waiting for this album for a minute, man. Their last album was the excellent Everybody Loves a Happy Ending, and this one in particular has been either talked about or rumored for the past 10 years or so. Legacy acts making a return is always kind of a risky endeavor, as many of them don't have the skills or taste for music anymore. However, Tears for Fears defied this, coming back with a very respectable and mature pop record that can easily stand among their discography. No Small Thing is a pretty unorthodox intro song for the band, as it's very acoustic guitar driven, having a sort of singer-songwriter edge. The vocals are immediately distinct and catching though, and the gradual build-up that this track has is pretty nice. It's almost like a sort of mellow reintroduction to the band, focusing more on their songwriting and storytelling over their production. The subtle electronic elements and some of the more quirkier instrumentals like the accordion that comes in here and there do bring back their pop roots into this sound though. The lyrics also are very distinctly Tears for Fears, basically talking about sort of clipping a child's wings when they're trying to pursue their passions and how that can affect them into adulthood. It's a fairly nice sort of take on the tried and true standards of the band. However, it is a bit odd to lead with this, and I don't think it sets the sort of instrumental sound for the album very well. Even though the first track was fine, the second song, the lead single, The Tipping Point, is where it really starts getting good. It's a great sort of reimagining of the new wave stylings of old. It's got that ambient and ominous Tears for Fears sound, but in a cold yet strangely vibrant way. The echoing twang of the guitar provides some nice texture to the opening and the verses, and the general bounce of the beat, especially when the chorus comes in, it's just super clean and tight. Everything here is so layered and dynamic, from the synth sort of fluttering in and out, alongside the haunting chimes that sort of come in during the chorus as well. All of this fits their more downcast vocal tones and somber lyrics, a lot of which have reoccurring themes on this project, most importantly being the passing of Roland Orzabal's wife. The next track though, Long Time, is one of the ones where I'm not too keen on anything about it really. The main instrumental is pretty bare bones, and the vocals can sound a bit strained here and there. The pulsing electro bass and the piano don't really mesh all that well, and the beat itself is pretty simplistic. Despite being fairly low impact in the verses, the chorus adds some interesting flares to it, like the longing guitar that comes in. Some pleasant vocals by Karina Round are also introduced, however, none of this can really save the rest of the track from being fairly uninspired, I think. The lyrical themes are pretty alright, being a sort of melancholy realization that you can never truly understand another person. However, it's told in a fairly tropey way. Break the Man, on the other hand, is a pretty fun pop tune. The synth and reverb-tinged beat are lively and pretty different for the band, and I like that acoustic guitar flourish that comes in here and there. It feels like a sort of cross between the Seeds of Love and Everybody Loves a Happy Ending sound. The progression is snappy on this one, and the vocals have a very pleasant, airy aesthetic to them. It's sort of like a woman empowerment anthem, expressing all the different types of women out there doing different things and expressing their own views and how that should be supported, which I think is a pretty cool angle coming from the band. It's basically championing the strong woman, which I think we should all get behind. My Demons, the next track, is definitely a more gritty and produced sound for them, but I like it. It's dark, but in a fun and playful way, and the flows on this one are catchy as hell. I love that punchy beat and attitude-driven guitar. It almost reminds me of like a Muse song in a way. This one is a sort of working-class anthem, depicting the average life and struggles of the everyman and how they're quite often overlooked. I like this angle a lot, trying to have people relate to each other and fight the status quo, especially when that ominous-sounding bridge comes in. With Rivers of Mercy, we have the start of a little ballady interlude section of the record. The piano and string focus make for a pretty nice pace breaker, and the very chill beats and bass that come in add some heavy weight to the track that's appreciated. The harmonies and vocals are passionate and heartfelt, delivering a plea to sort of foster acceptance and understanding towards those who were involved in all of these protests and demonstrations over the past few years. It's most likely in support of the ones that happened because of police brutality. There were demonstrations all over the world because of it, so it wouldn't surprise me if Tears for Fears were keeping that in mind when they were writing this track. It's definitely a respectable topic, and it really adds to this album's more melancholic undertones. The next one, Please Be Happy, is by far the darkest song on the album, essentially being written for Roland's late wife. The isolated and chilling piano and strings are powerful enough, but the vocals also swell to some pretty great heights by the time the chorus comes around. The addition of the little sax interlude adds some pretty classy elements to the track, and the chorus of "But these days it's like a wave is breaking over you, dragging you in the undertow. If you lay among the graves you will see other ghosts. I still believe this love can grow," accurately describes the depression that his wife was going through, I'm sure. There's nothing more to really say about this track other than wow, really. A more synthy moment comes after the previous track with Master Plan, however the very dramatic piano and electric guitar do still add some of that darker flourish to the track. The whole song is dramatic actually, with these bursting harmonies and instrumentals. The addition of these strings and rising instrumentals are done very well, alongside these sort of glitchy samples that are thrown in. It has a delicate touch though, showing a hint of humanity in the midst of darkness. It almost seems to be like a eulogy of sorts for his wife, continuing on with the storyline of the previous track. Roland's basically keeping her memory alive through their bond and the experience that they shared. Now we get to the most upbeat track on the album, End of Night, with these booming drums and cacophonous synth. Some may not like how harsh it is, but I kind of appreciate how just bombastic this one is. The vocals are rapturous and almost euphoric in a way, as Roland seems to be sort of closing the book on his darker days and starts to live again, essentially. The chorus especially seems to show an acceptance of his pain as he moves past it, almost giving vibes of, again, everybody loves a happy ending. Despite this acceptance though, the track does have a sort of bittersweet air to it, but I guess that's classic Tears for Fears, isn't it? Unfortunately though, the album does end on kind of a bland note with Stay. It's a bit of retreaded ground from the first track on the album, but even more mellow. This is kind of a letdown coming off of a track like End of Night. The acoustic guitar intro is fairly uneventful, and the more ambient beat that's added later doesn't really bring much to the table either. I honestly think that End of Night could have actually ended the project, especially as this one kind of undercuts the overall narrative too. The song largely remains stagnant as well, ending the record with a disappointing lack of energy or emotion. Honestly though, for a band that's been around as long as they have, this is a pretty commendable album. They didn't sound like boomers trying to be cool, they sounded like their authentic selves, albeit with more mature experiences and outlooks. The instrumentals were also pretty varied, and the vocal and lyrical chops remain in good form. You can tell they put their experience to work in creating good pop tunes, but also wanted to try something different too. Occasionally though, there were the more boring moments like Long 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 Time and Stay, and even though the instrumentals were largely good, I found the production to be kind of muddy and quiet at times. It's still definitely a good album though, and I'm hoping this kind of made the band rediscover their love of creating music, and I hope we get more stuff from them in the future. I am feeling a strong 7 on the new Tears for Fears project, maybe light 8 on a good day. And of course we do have to talk about album covers on this show, and I think this is a pretty good one. It has a sort of collage-y aesthetic to it, being a bit more abstract like some of the group's later works. And I just really like the more somber color scheme. It has their hint of playfulness that Tears for Fears is known for, albeit it does have its hint of seriousness that the group is known for too. So I think for what it's worth, and for what style this album cover is, it was done pretty well. But those are just my thoughts on this newest album by Tears for Fears. What did you guys think? Do you think they came back with full force, or did they need to sit on these ideas even further? Let me know. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell if your tears are also your fears, and until the next one, farewell.